You are watching the CES 2020 coverage with Digital Trends. We have been going all day and we'll continue the coverage extensively for you. If you want to check out all the details, head over to digitaltrends.com/CES because we are covering absolutely everything. Thank you for joining us. Hey, I'm Maude Garrett and I'm joined by Greg Nibler.
Yes, hello, and it is time once again for another edition of Tech Briefs, the partnership between Digital Trends and Flipboard where we catch you up on some of the biggest stories in tech, and this is our CES edition, the second day of these. So we're going to talk about a few specific topics, but to introduce who is here today, of course, I'm Greg Nibler with Maude Garrett and Ken Yeung from Flipboard. Ken, before we start on anything, I just want to address something that you posted on Twitter yesterday. We met for the first time in person, and you posted saying that I was much shorter than you expected. I just want to call attention to that right now.
Ooh.
I stand by that comment.
Yeah, you're right. It makes sense. I'm glad I look tall on television.
As a 5'11" woman here and the tallest in the discussion.
It's a short guy fight.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into talk about this. So we've got a lot of tech to cover, and you know, automotive technology has really been something, huge at CES this year. I mean, it has been for a lot of years, but really this year it's really taking over as a huge thing.
Is it really huge, or is it that everything else isn't so spectacular that the auto's kind of being like, hey, that Mercedes car looks a little bit better, doesn't it?
I think it's actually a little bit of both. But as Greg, you and I talked about ahead of CES, this is actually turning out to be a time where automotive companies want to play in tech's playground. And you start to see tech moving into Detroit Auto Show and all these other places to kind of show off their electric vehicles, Tesla as well. So now these companies want to show off, like, all cars essentially are starting to look alike, and it's what's going to matter what's on the inside, how it's being built, how are they using technology to make it more sustainable, how are they using it to produce better cars. And that's kind of what they want to showcase, all of that stuff as well, especially from a consumer standpoint. When you want to buy a car, you're not going to necessarily care what kind of wheels per se. You might want to care about what kind of audio systems there, what kind of safety features there. Is there any AI?
How you're reducing your carbon footprint.
Exactly.
Right.
Are there, do you have like a Bose speakers in there, or do you just have just regular speakers in there? It's like how are you going to enjoy your ride?
Which are one of those things, you know, that everybody looks for in a car normally, too. I mean, you want to find something that's quality, but this also adds in the fact that it's an electric vehicle. And we've got a few different ones, you know, that have been showcased, and you see all the major manufacturers that are getting into it, which is great. But you also have some of the other ones coming back, and the Faraday Future, or Faraday, what is exactly the name of theirs?
It's the car is called FF91, but it's Faraday Future. That one has a history behind it,
right?
It's surprising it's still around.
I'm
right,
sorry,
it's
is this the one that
being
has
worked on for years.
But isn't this the one that had like $1 billion of money put into it to try and get this off the ground?
It has considerable amount of money where the founder was accused of some malicious stuff, like potentially some financial issues. I'm not 100% sure on those claims, but it was a soap opera, to say the least. And it was 2 years ago at CES where I was at this announcement where they debuted. They announced, like, here's our electric vehicle, an SUV to take on Tesla, and it was the FF91. It was supposed to come out in 2018, and now, as Digital Trends and others have reported, that the car is actually going to be. They're claiming their new CEO, and they've had this revolving door of CEOs and staff, that their cars are actually going to be scheduled for delivery later this year. I mean, since we're in Vegas, let's bet. Let's go see what the bets on that are on. But it's interesting. They're also pivoting away from trying to rival Tesla. But they're kind of going into more of that limo, that kind of
it's that premium.
But which is like they're still also in a way competing with Elon Musk, with, you know, in terms of transportation. But I mean, in terms of assuming that this company is going to actually make something of itself, I mean, it's been a while, and there's still a lot of stuff they have to overcome.
So dramas and reputation aside, is this a good car?
Based on earlier reviews, it seems like it is. I mean, the type of the speed of it, the acceleration
it's
is
over 1,000 horsepower.
But I mean, is it worth necessarily the price tag?
0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds.
Yeah, try doing that in LA traffic. It's not happening. You know, try doing that in New York traffic.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at what they were promising during the demo 2 years ago, they're talking about having this summon feature where you can it'll park itself or come to you without you needing to go to the car. I mean, that apparently has been stripped out. So to a certain degree, a
'Cause
lot
that's
of the
the fun
features have been
stuff.
watered down.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
That's what Tesla
Is that
now
called a
has.
FIDO
Yeah.
function? Because it should be.
I'm sorry.
A FIDO function. Come here, boy.
No, I mean, at this point, who knows? They very well could be doing this. I mean,
Faraday, you
Surely
can
you
take that. Faraday, it's yours.
There it is.
Welcome. I'm
don't
just giving the vote.
don't count out Faraday for doing
anything.
anything
Got
at
it,
this
yeah.
point. Yeah,
Sweet,
it shouldn't surprise you.
Well, looking at that, so going from Faraday, making a mark, at least making some noise here at CES. You also have Fisker, which announced, what the Fisker Ocean, which was already announced, but we got their kind of first look at it. I think it's a pretty slick-looking SUV. I really actually like the look of it.
This one is affordable. It's really
that's-
doing great
yeah.
things with recyclability. Like it's actually taken nets from out of the ocean and it's woven it into carpet for the car. And for those, it's called the Ocean. It's all about the Cali bro, but all the windows go down so you can put your surfboards in there.
California
I'm about
mode.
it. And it's affordable.
That's
I
the
believe it was
key.
like $3,000 down for $379 a month.
Yeah, and 37 grand total, which is putting it right on that line that Tesla
mid-range.
is trying to go for their budget. I don't know if that's the right word to use for that, but something that's a mid-range, standard price if you're going to get an SUV, and I think it's a great move.
Yeah, but I mean, Fisker's not the only one that's doing electric vehicles. I mean, that's all the rage right now. I mean, other ones are trying to. You see a lot of things like Faraday and Tesla. They're all trying to. They're doing more like the next generation beyond that. But obviously, beyond gas, we're moving more to electric. And surprising, and Jeep, to no surprise, has announced a bunch of electric vehicles. As we were talking last week, we were kind of hoping to see Ford unveil their Cybertruck competitor.
Right.
I don't think that they've announced anything quite yet. There's also Rivian, who's announced that. So there's a lot more capabilities beyond just like, hey, we're innovating in terms of the engine or how do you get around. But it's as you said, Maude, it's like the sustainability. So it's like how not only are you taking away these gas emissions, it's like how are you also recycling stuff that's out there, like recycling plastic for
Right. Yeah, and that's certainly a big point. We've talked to Audi with the e-tron, and the partnerships they're doing as far as renewable energy. And so that's really great seeing a lot of these major manufacturers get into it. And I know we need to move on to the next topic, but that was just, I think it's a fun segment to see, and it has some positivity to it.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's
like.
a buzzword. I'm glad that everyone's like going into electric because like everyone wins when stuff like that happens. So.
Well, let's talk about something else going along the lines of electric. Let's get into some of the concept cars because this is the fun stuff of CES. You get to see some out there things, and certainly I can't think of a company that surprised anybody more for what they debuted than Sony.
Yeah.
Sony bringing a car to CES. Have you gone to see it?
I have not seen it. It's all the way in the back of Central Hall. But I for some reason I thought it would be like a transformer, like just get a giant Aibo and it transforms into this concept car. But I think it's an interesting investment that Sony made into this vehicle. But largely, I think what you need to the concept itself is how does all their connected devices play into the vehicle. I mean,
they're just
see it
making
in
a
the
living
home.
room. Like
Yeah.
they deck out the space. You have your amazing entertainment systems, and they're just putting that inside a box on wheels.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people necessarily think about like piecemealing, like putting together an entire, like as you do in a living room like this. How would you do it in your car? And most people don't necessarily do that.
Not
If
a
you-
priority.
Yeah, if
Right.
you do, you're basically a car aficionado, which is, I mean, that's good. But most people are like, okay, I have Bose speakers. That's the best thing ever, and that's all you care about. And then once your radio or your console goes, and then you buy another one. But Sony's whole thing is like, look, Sony is good no matter where you're at.
Do you think that the name Sony can traverse like over those sorts of, not even genres, but like to go into a whole new direction in that way? Does that make sense?
I think so. I think a lot of the electronic companies have that capability to transcend beyond the home. I think it's just like wherever you're having where your gathering place, as it were. Largely, obviously, it's going to be first and foremost the home, but it could be in a convention center. Like imagine entire places like this. That planes could be.
Right.
I mean. Could we see the flying taxis from like Hyundai being souped up with doing a partnership with Sony and Uber Elevate to kind of have that type of environment. You never know.
I want to ride in that vehicle, whatever it is.
Next
I am
step,
definitely in
the
that.
world.
Which one?
Right.
The Hyundai flying
The whole
taxi,
package.
or
I'm a
the
fan of the whole
concept?
package.
Okay.
Yeah, I want it all.
But I
Well,
like the other one, the Mercedes.
Let's talk
let's get
about
to that.
the Mercedes.
So we've got a couple of minutes left just to get through these topics, and that's the fun thing about Tech Briefs. We try to catch you up as much as we can in as short a time as we're allowed. But we've got Mercedes with this Avatar, yes, Avatar the movie, as Maude said,
Do you remember when that one came out? Because it's 11 years ago, 10 and a half years ago.
2009 classic, I believe is what you called it.
How long did it take him to make that movie?
Yeah, right? Well, there's sequels on the way too. But beyond all that, talking about the vehicle, so it's an Avatar-themed Mercedes vehicle. It is crazy in appearance. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Flipboard or on
it
Digital
looks
Trends.
spectacular. And this is the thing, if you're going to give me a concept car from CES, I want it to look incredibly futuristic, and this is a thing where I want to get excited about. The look of this car is not like anything we've ever seen before. To have to affiliate it to Avatar cheapens the entire experience for me, if I can
I
be
don't
real.
think so.
Oh, what?
I don't think so. No.
How not so?
No, I mean, but again, look at what's on the inside of what they're doing. Sure, it looks
It's
like...
easy to look on the inside because there's a whole transparent
But the whole point of the concept
side.
for Mercedes is how are they envisioning, how are you going to be using your vehicle inside? So it's not just, here's your radio, here's your steering wheel, it's autonomous or anything like that. If I remember correctly, it's like when you're inside, it's like how are you? It's very sensory. It's very much like
You're supposed
like
to
Pandora.
feel the pulse of the car. The car
Exactly.
feels the
You're
pulse
at
of you.
one with your vehicle
Exactly.
being. Because I know that every time I get in my car, instead of like turning it on, I pull out my tail and I want to connect with my vehicle in a very sensual way.
There it is.
Avatar.
So-
I will fight you, Ken.
So that's a concept. So at this point,
Until
you're
he
never
gets
going
to
to
Twitter
actually
later.
see that's going to happen. But yeah, you find me on Twitter. But I think the
Okay.
thing is, though, it's like again,
taller
this
than
is
you.
since it's an Avatar-inspired vehicle, it won't happen. The actual vehicle won't happen for about the same amount of time as it takes to actually develop the movie.
Do you like the wheel design? Because they look like whisks all over it.
I do.
Okay.
Overall, I like the design. Yeah.
You'll give her the wheels. Okay. All right,
All
that's
right.
one thing that he'll like out of it.
Oh, I like this. This is a really lovely debate. About, like,
No, this is why it's so much
opinions.
fun with this. But I know that we need to wrap up because we're going to have another one of these tomorrow too.
Yes.
You're going to be back tomorrow morning to talk about CES. We don't even know what we're all going to cover yet. Probably maybe our highlights, but there's
Yeah.
a lot to talk about. And this is available as a podcast too. So wherever you get podcasts, go find Tech Briefs from Flipboard at Digital Trends and download that and subscribe to it. And that's always a great way to keep up. Maude, thank you
Yes.
for being a part of these. Ken, as always, it's nice to see you, my fellow short person. And